Today we're very fortunate to have Shimara over here with us. She's not only a client but she's also a very interesting lady with a lot of interesting stories to tell regarding her herbal medicine and the way that she treats both humans and animals. So we're very thankful to have Shimara around over here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure, it's a pleasure. And today we're going to explore in the different ways of how Shimara approaches treatment and healing in a non-conventional way, but nonetheless it's something that she's been doing for quite some time already. Shimara, in your own words, could you tell us more about yourself? What do you do? And I'm very interested in the healing that you do.
Okay, well, it's a long story and I don't know how long you've got, but basically I started 40 years ago working with Bach flower remedies, and I had amazing results with those. I had a dog. I've always rescued animals, and I had a rescue dog who was locked up in a car in a hot August day with all the windows closed, and this was in Tavistock. Mm-hmm. And I looked inside and this dog was nearly dying, and you could see that she was in a dreadful state. So I waited and I thought, well, someone's got to come and open the door. In the end, I thought I'd smash the glass, but I couldn't. It's too thick. Anyway, the person came up, gave me the dog. I don't want her. Okay, fine. I'll have her. She told me she was crazy, but I thought, well, that's okay because I can work with that. and the Bach flower remedies were amazing. So for the first few weeks she was on them in her water every day, and gradually I could see her changing. She used to rip up the carpets and the wallpaper and everything, and bark a lot, and and then something's missing. Yes, I'll give her one other remedy and I will mix that in with the water, and from the first licks that she took out of the bowl, it was like a miracle had happened. Something flicked in her brain like a light switch, and click, and she looked up and she was completely different. She wasn't so crazy. She'd really calmed down, and that was it. I was hooked. So that started it all off, really. And then I carried on working with those. I've always been, shall we say, psychic, and I was meditating one day and Dr. Bach came through in my meditation and appeared in front of me, see him quite clearly, and he told me that I had to move from Devon and I had to move to Norfolk, where he spent a long time making his remedies when he was alive, and that he would teach me how to make them. So, wow, I've got to trust this. So I trusted it. I sold up and moved to Norfolk, and that was the start of my journey. So he was true to his word. So, my company is now still making all of the 38 different Bach flower remedies, and send them around the world. So I'm still working with those, although I've made many different ones since then, many different flower remedies all over the world, really, not just in England. And while I was working with clients, healing energies were coming through, and I was guided how to work with the healing energies. At first I was working mainly with people, apart from this dog, and I had wonderful results. And so people come for all different reasons. So we're working on the emotional level, the mental level. We're working if people can't sleep, if they've got fears, if they want to release guilt, all sorts of things, the same patterns as the animals have. So if you're treating one, you can treat the other, because the flower remedies work on the animals as well as they do on people, and they're quite safe. And so that was part of the journey. The healing energies coming through, and they were new energies, which I was already a trained healer, and I've already registered with the Healing Federation, and healing energies started coming through, and I was being told they're new energies on the earth. No one else is working with these. This is a new healing system that you're going to create. So again, I trusted, and went through a very long process, quite a few years, until all the energies had come through, which created what is called the Eternal Light Healing System. And so I was then taught how to train others in this. So I now run training courses, not just in flower remedies, but also in working with the healing energies. And yes, so it's wonderful. Anyone can do it. Anyone can be trained. Anyone can be attuned to that energy. This is the amazing thing. A bit like Reiki, but it's not Reiki. It's something different. And so, yeah, we have wonderful results, and I have a lot of people that I've trained around the world, all over the place. Oh gosh, what else?
It sounds fascinating. How do you feel this has changed your life?
Well, it changed my life completely, obviously, because I had a real turnaround that time 40 years ago. So, you know, until that time, I just got out of a tricky divorce and was, you know, not quite knowing where to go. And suddenly I knew, and all my spiritual information was coming back to me from when I was psychic as a child and so on. So I knew that, you know, my whole life was going to change, and it has. And of course, I'm working on myself all the time. We're all only human, and the remedies have helped me incredibly. They've also helped my animals to one degree or another. So I had a lady a few weeks ago who had a little dog that had gone blind with an operation. I think I mentioned it, and she came. She wanted me to give healing for the dog and some remedies, which I did the first time, and I got the dog to sit on my lap and just put my hands on and gave healing over the eyes and the head, mainly, and gave some remedies for the dog and for the owner. And afterwards, the owner said that there'd been a black line going through the dog's eye, and now it's gone. So immediately after the healing, the line had gone. And I thought, well, this is wonderful. We're really going to get some, you know, success with this if we keep going on with it. Yes, so that was that. That's still going on.
Have you got any other animals experiences? Naturally, as you can imagine, I'm quite interested in what bud flower remedy, in your experience, how has it helped with different animals, in what conditions, what sort of animals they were, how long did it take, and all these sort of things?
It depends on the animal itself, how long it's had the problem. I mean, there are things like birds that fly into the window, and you know, you go and pick them up and you open their beaks and you give them some what I call emergency essence, and that's a mixture of bud flowers, and immediately they go and they fly off. Others you have to nurse in a box for a few days and give them some healing, especially if they've hurt themselves, and usually they're able to fly off afterwards. We have all sorts. We have foxes, we have cats. I've worked on cats. Cats are a bit difficult though. They're their own person, aren't they? They're so completely different to dogs or even wild creatures. So there was a fox that came, and I managed to, he was almost tame. He would run in from the shooters who were hunting in the field, and he knew that he'd be safe in my garden, and I had a big tree in the front garden, and sometimes I would hear this gnawing sound, and I thought, what on earth is that? And one day I went out to look to see what it was, because I didn't know, and he was hidden under the tree eating a rabbit. And so he knew he was safe there, and I started putting out some water for him, again with some emergency essence in it, because he was obviously, terrified that he would be shot. So he kept taking that, and well, as far as I know, he might still be under that same tree today. I don't live there anymore.
Fair enough.
So yeah, all sorts of animals, all sorts of creatures will benefit. I worked in, where was it? I worked as a charity in many difficult places. I went to the refugee camps after the Yogoslav war in Croatia and Bosnia, and worked there, and I just gave as many attunements to the healing and teaching all the healing energies as much as I could, so that it could heal their trauma, and did that, and also their animals as well. They were bringing along. I couldn't say too much about what happened to those, because I was only there for a couple of weeks, and then I'd go, and then next time I went there'd be different refugees, and that was pretty difficult. I worked in Chernobyl, which is 20 miles away from Chernobyl, just after the nuclear accident, and that was horrifying. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I was invited there by a medical doctor who ran a children's clinic, and shipped over lots of remedies, anti-radiation remedies I made up, and they went over, and again it was just give healing to everyone who needs it, but also attune as many people as you possibly can so that they can pass it on. So I was attuning the parents of the children who were born so deformed. It's just hideous. You can't describe it. Many of them, the parents were so embarrassed they kept them locked in a cupboard. They wouldn't let me go. They would only let the doctor go to see them. No one was allowed to see these children. They were so ashamed of what they produced, because it was pregnant women who'd been zapped themselves, and so that was pretty bad. There were a few animals there. I'm trying to think what they were. There was one dog. There was one brown dog. Don't know what he was, and he was like shell shocked. And again, it was straight to the emergency essence, which is always the first thing that we would go to without having a full idea. And the 3 weeks or so that I was there, he calmed down completely. So that was interesting. So I can't think of any more animals specifically.
Well, it sounds as though you have quite remarkable results with your treatments, really. How do you feel this treatment is like in mainstream medicine? Do you think it's well accepted? In UK, are there still struggles, or is it pretty okay? Is it well established or not yet?
Well, obviously, it's established in as much as, if you're going talking about the Dr. Bach remedies, Dr. Bach discovered those and left his life in 1936. So we're looking at, 80 years or so. That they've been around, and of course they're available in chemists, they're available in health food shops, and everyone virtually around the world knows about them. So they're quite easy to work with. Most people have heard of it. And if you mention rescue remedy, then that was his signature. Apart from with the healing's been very well accepted with the medical profession in certain places. I've got a lot of healers who work in doctors' surgeries now, and there's a few in London hospitals, and of course in places like this where I went, where they were open to anything that helps. When they get that desperate, they will take anything. and know that it's helping them. It's not so well known in the general medical profession. So if you went to your GP and asked for some, you wouldn't get it. But you know, on the other hand, you know, you've got the choice. You know, you can try and work naturally, or you can take drugs and see how that goes, and hopefully you won't have any side effects. So yeah.
Why do you think it's a struggle for mainstream, so-called mainstream medicine to accept such a seemingly powerful treatment, remedy, you know, way of looking at things? In your past, you know, experience,
yes.
What has been your biggest struggle to try to push what you're trying to push?
I've never really pushed it. This is the thing, because I believe if you're following your guidance, and you're spiritually aware, and you know that this is something that you have to do, it's something you do. If you're brave enough to do it, and so I've never really pushed it. It's not something I push. I've got a website and people can order things over that, or they can phone me for a phone consultation, or they can come and see me. But it's not something that I've pushed to the medical profession. Obviously, some doctors are more open than others, especially homeopathic doctors. They all have Dr. Bart remedies. So
it sounds as though this has really impacted yourself in a very big way, such that you've almost pretty much dedicated your entire life to it, really.
Yes, yeah.
What would you like to see for the future of it?
What would I like to see? I'd like to see access for everyone to be able to get these natural remedies, for them to understand about healing and how healing works and so on. And I'd like that to be available for everyone, whether it was free as a charity, working for a charity, or whether it's, just...
And in your mind, if you had a magic wand, what would be the choice or ideal way of communicating your desire for the future of this particular remedy?
When you say remedy, I'm putting together the healing,
and or the future of
yes.
the vision that you have for what you're doing, because it's obviously very important.
My vision is that this will become more known, especially in the medical profession, and how simple it is. This is the thing, is simplicity. Anyone can work with the Bach flower remedies because they can't do any harm. They're harmless completely. So, and I think, I believe that obviously the drug companies are involved in a lot of not wishing to have these things, but then I won't go there. This is my vision, that they will be available for everyone. Everyone could understand them, everyone could learn about them, especially the medical profession, of course. And it doesn't matter what kind of situation it is, if someone's in hospital, if they're coming round from anaesthetic, if they take the emergency essence immediately a few times, it will bring them round from the anaesthetic more quickly. If they take it before their operation, they will also have a much better result. And I've seen that happen many, many times. So this is my vision for the future, that this will be available for everyone.
You mentioned that it is quite a simple way of doing things, but how simple it is? How simple is it actually to actually learn more about it and to actually apply it in the daily living?
Well, to learn more about it, certainly you can go to my website, which is heartsong.eu, and you can see all the things that are on offer on there, including the healing system, Eternal Light, and also the remedies. And everyone who orders the remedies gets a booklet and a leaflet. I've just produced a new book, it's a reprint actually, from one I printed 20 years ago on the Bach flower remedies, teaching people how to work with them. So anyone can buy a set, and anyone can work with them.
That sounds fascinating. Would you mind, without going into detail, just highlight how do you actually make a remedy?
Right. The way that Dr. Bach made it is the only way, and he was very, very specific. And you can only make them at certain times because you need the full sunlight, like we've got today, thankfully, and you need to find the right plants first, and some of them are very rare now. In Dr. Bach's time, there wasn't all the atmospheric conditions that we've got now, all the pollution. And he was able to find his plants very easily. He went through a whole process himself trying to find the right ones for the right condition, because there's 38 different conditions, which range from fear to grief to you name it, or just sheer tiredness. And so he made them with a very thin clear glass bowl, which is so big, and pure water, pure spring water. And then you would go early in the morning, between 6 and 9 in the morning, around that time, 9 o'clock by the time the sun's fully out. And you'd take, obviously, he would meditate first, he would go into a good space, which is what I still do when I'm making them, and bless the flowers. Cut the flowers that are just opening up that day, so they're really fresh. They can't be stale, they can't be dying, and then you float them on the top of the water, enough to completely cover the surface. You leave that there by the plant for 3 hours in full sunlight. Now he says that if a cloud passes the sun, you have to throw it away.
Tricky.
It's very tricky.
This is
very
England.
tricky. This, yes. But miracles happen, you know, and sometimes I go out and I think, oh yes, I've found that where that remedy's growing. It's nicely growing. It's not near a road. It's not polluted, and so, you know, I think, oh yes, it's lovely morning, and then suddenly a cloud will come up. Oh no. So what I do, I just stand there and I just pray. And I say, you know, oh please God, please angels, please take these clouds away. And suddenly it goes. And it's just amazing, you know. And often I have to sit with the bowl because there's nowhere around. You're in the middle of a wood or somewhere, or a meadow to go. So I sit with it and I see that, oh, gosh, it's never clouded over. And then you dilute that. So after that, you strain off from the flowers. The water has then taken on the energetic frequency of the flowers, remembering that the flower is the final flourish of the plant. You know, obviously, it's not the roots. You can use those in Chinese medicine and whatever. It's not the stems and the leaves. It's always the flowers. And so then you mix the water half and half with brandy, and that becomes a mother tincture. So that is called a mother tincture. Then that's bottled up in a big pure glass jar, and then you can dilute that down. We always put them under pyramids to amplify the energy as well. We've got special pyramids that we had made, and we bless them, of course, and we give thanks to all the beings that have been helping. And I've seen a few fairies as well, and that's going in my next book. Yeah, that's it. And then you can dilute that down, and that becomes what we call stock level, which is what you buy in the shops or what you buy from our website or whatever. And then again, you can dilute that down, but if you dilute that down, apparently it is 20% less effective than if you give from the stock level bottle. And that's the way I treat people. So if people come to me as a client for whatever, we'll have an hour session and find out what their problem is, and I'll go within and ask for other things as well and see what remedies they need, and then I'll make them up. Often I've got a lot of other remedies, but often I will make them up bottles of a mixture of Bach flowers, because you can put up to 7 different ones in a bottle, which covers, well, virtually everyone's emotions and thought patterns at the time when I see them. So yeah. And
so you said there's 38 different remedies,
Yeah.
but of which you can mix up to 7
up
in
to
a
7
bottle.
in a bottle. Yeah.
That's all very, very fascinating.
Yeah, and of course, this is what we do. Sometimes they don't need 7, but most people are pretty scrambled up in this age where everything's going on around, everything's going too fast. There's too many gadgets, and our brain has just gone haywire. And just clearing some of that, some of that energy is part of the process with the remedies. I mean, I also stock other things that give blocks on mobile phones, for instance, and on computers, so that you're not picking up the EMF frequencies, and I sell a lot of those. They work. There's a lot of things out there, but these I tested, and I know that they really, really work. So then, that's it. Then the person's working with those remedies and taking those 4 to 6 or even 8 times a day, depending on their state. And then they come back in a month. I give them enough for a month. And then we see how they've got on. We see what's changed, and I make some more notes and see if something else has come up, because Dr. Bark explained it like unpeeling the skins of an onion. So as you're treating what's on the outside, then when that's healed, then something else underneath will show itself. And some people get disappointed. They think they've gone backwards, and I have to explain to them, no, that's wonderful, because now we can treat that, and that was hidden underneath all your other stuff. So and then they get it, and then they're on course. So usually we have some wonderful examples of people having ME or MS. Chronic fatigue seems to be the thing at the moment. It's a big thing, and I've had great success with that. One of the ladies that I've been treating has turned it completely around in a year of taking remedies, and also working with her with supplements and also diet as well, taking the right food, and she's wonderful. She's really taken to it like a duck to water. Done the healing as well, and loves it. And we have regular hearing sharings, and I have regular meditation every other Wednesday. And I collect money for the animals charity in Torbay.
Yeah, because you support animal in distress, don't you?
That's it. Yes. Yeah.
And how will you describe your what are you busy with right now? Like, how many consultations do you see? How many courses do you run?
Right.
How many more overseas trips do you do? How many remedies do you make up?
Gosh, that's a big question. Client-wise, I see whoever comes to me, and that varies all the time. I've probably got just about 10 at the moment, because obviously it's local people. There'll be a few that I'll treat, obviously, over the internet. And it's also in other countries over the internet. And aside from that, I'm very busy with printing. There's all the printing to do. I've done a reprint of my healing book, Eternal Light book. I've done a reprint now of this one. I'm now producing a set of Inner Bark, Dr. Bark flower cards, which is shortly going to the printers, and that will be a box set that people can use as a divination tool. So there'll be the 38 remedies, which they can use to choose a remedy for themselves. And I use the inner child cards, because I've also got a set of remedies called Healing the Inner Child. And again, I produced a set of cards for those. And when I do the exhibitions, I spread the cards out along the table with the remedies behind, and then a lot of people come along, and it's surprising how many people are in tune with that, and they're open to that, and they just close it. I say, close your eyes and just go along, and where you get a feeling, where you get a sense, then just see if you can pick up that card, and they always come up usually with the right one, because I'll be tuning in, I'll be standing behind the table tuning in, seeing what they get, and like, yeah, that's perfect, that's without even talking to them, that's just reading their aura. So I do aura scans and clear their chakras or whatever, and
That is very fascinating, and clearly, in the sort of 21st century, with the whole advancement in technology and things like that, it is very easy to forget the own spiritual, the whole psychic that we have in all of us.
Everyone.
That can be easily missed because there's so many distractions around, and you can almost argue that because of so many distractions being around, it's even more important to focus on ourselves and listen to our little voice that may be just screaming and crying out because it's no longer being heard, isn't it? With all the, technology out there in the market.
Oh, no. Far better than listen to your inner voice. Keep your head on your phone.
What would be the best advice that you have
dear.
for people who are wanting to tune into their inner self?
Meditation. Meditation is always really, you could say the only way, but not the only way. Remedies help as well. I've got a series of remedies that work on the chakras, and of course the third eye chakra, the brow chakra, is quite a popular one. But before that can open up, you do have to heal some things in yourself first. So you have to look at your emotional patterns, you have to look at what's gone on in the past, what shocks and trauma did you have any accidents, how was your childhood, were you abused, all sorts of things come into it, and they're all buried down inside our hearts, waiting to come out and be healed, and that's what the inner child is. So the inner child essences as well are also working on that. They're combinations of other flowers and some crystal remedies. So the most important thing really is to go within and to start acknowledging that we have things that we need to clear. We have things that are holding us back, that are stopping us from being on our divine path, because once you get onto your divine path, it's miracle. Miracles happen every day for me, and I think, oh, this is great, and I just accept them as miracles, and other people go, wow, that just happened to you. Wow.
Fascinating.
But it's, it's because you're in tune and you're going with the flow and you're accepting as well of what comes to you. Because people forget that anything that comes to them, especially people-wise and personality-wise, that other person will be a trigger for you or a mirror to show you your own personality defects or good aspects. There's many things that are involved in this. It's a whole process. But going within, being open and honest with yourself, a lot of my meditations are exercises in this as well. So whatever meditation it is, whether it's listening to a CD, a guided meditation, or whether it's going to a Buddhist centre, whatever it is, however you do it, whether you pray, whether you're Christian, it doesn't matter what your religion is, whether you go to church, none of that's important. You can do it sitting at home and just going within in whichever form feels best for you, and use that as a meditation. And of course the remedies help as well with everything.
That's all very, very good advice. Last but not least, I'm going to ask you a question slightly deep, slightly profound. If you were given a chance to go back and speak to a younger self, a younger Shimara, what are 3 things that you say to yourself that would hopefully help you save time and help you take away some distractions or difficulty that you have faced right now? What was the best advice you give yourself? Advice you didn't listen to? The
thing is, I always listened. That was the problem, because it doesn't mean that if you listen to your higher self, because I was born psychic and clairvoyant and clairaudient, but because we had a cemetery at the end of the garden and I kept seeing spirits all the time and didn't know what to do, I was closed down at 4 when I was 4 years old, and so I knew that I was being protected, and I've always known I've got an angel around me and so on, but that all went to the fore until I had my big wake-up call. So I always knew that, and I always did things that I wanted to do, but I knew that they were coming from the heart. And when you know that they're coming from your heart and your higher self, then you do it. For instance, when I was 12-year-old, in the middle of London, I used to get a bus on a Sunday, and I used to go right across London to the PDSA Animal Hospital in Ilford, Essex. Well, it's probably part of London now. And I used to help. They've got a cemetery there for all the animals, and I used to help with the plants and tidying it up and everything else. And I thought, oh, I'd love to be a vet. I'd love to be like Lennon here, you know. I'd love to be a vet. I want to heal animals. And one of the vets came out to me one day, and he said, you know, I understand that you'd like to be a vet when you're older. And I said, oh yes, I'd love to. I want to heal animals. And would you like to come in and see? And he took me into the operating theatre, and there was a dog cut open. And of course I ran out. They put, you know, white things on me, and I ran out. I was sick. So that was the end of that. So never go in there. And I realised that there must be other ways of healing animals as well, you know, without, you know, going through that procedure. So that was fine. And then, you know, I got married very early. I fell in love, but I had to do that. That was part of my process. Everything comes at the right time, you see. Everything. And if we can just listen and just accept that this has come to me for a reason, and I'll just go along with it, and if it's for your highest divine good, usually you get great joy from it. If you don't, then you've got a relationship there that you need to heal with someone, or you might have some karma with them that you need to clear. You know, there's all sorts of reasons for things. It's all good, everything.
Yeah, it's all good.
Everything that happens to us is good. It's all for a reason.
There's a fabulous way of looking at life. Well, thank you very much, Shimara. Is there anything you'd like to add before we finish?
I can say, yes, I'd like to talk about you, Lennon, because this is the most amazing veterinary practice I've ever seen, and I've had a lot of rescue animals. And sometimes, you know, they need to go to a vet, and they need extra help apart from remedies and healing. So this is just amazing. The way that you've designed it, the energy of the place, it's healing as soon as you walk in the door. As you know, with Shiva, with my dog, couldn't take him anywhere else. He hated it. He cringed before he even got to the door. Here, he's running in, wagging his tail.
He was very, very special.
He was such a gorgeous dog. Again, another rescue dog. And you know, and you were so kind and so compassionate and so gentle with him. And you know, I thought, wow, you know, this is a true vet. This is a real vet. This is a kind, loving, heart-centered vet, and all the staff as well. The staff are amazing. They're wonderful. And your lovely wife, and so yes, I mean, I would recommend anyone who's in this area to come here, because when I get another dog, it's the first place I'll be. You know, if I need to.
Thank you very much for the support and very, very kind words. But yeah, I look forward to actually working more with you in being able to offer all the different remedies which you are offering, really, to more people, to more animals, to touch more lives and to impact more people. Yeah. And
well, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.